Imagine standing in a field in Joplin, Missouri. In May of 2011, 8,000 buildings gone, leveled. An EF5 tornado with winds pushing 200 miles per hour just turned an entire American city into splinters and rubble. And right there, in the middle of all of it, one structure is still standing, walls intact, roof on, not a crack. That is not a fantasy. That happened. And the building that survived was not made of steel, it was not reinforced concrete, it was made of dirt. The same dirt sitting underneath your feet right now. What you are about to learn is a building method so old, so proven, and so effective that the United States Army has quietly used a version of it to protect soldiers in combat zones for over 250 years. The Amish communities in Holmes County, Ohio, and in rural areas across Pennsylvania and New Mexico never stopped using it. And right now, in 2024, it costs less than $800 to build a structure using this method that will still be standing when your great-great-grandchildren are old. But here's the part I need you to stay for. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you something I have never seen mentioned in a single mainstream building guide, homesteading book, or government housing manual. A technique the Amish figured out 300 years ago that makes this home not just tornado-proof, but self-heating in winter and self-cooling in summer, completely without electricity, completely without fuel, completely without a single monthly bill. And the reason most Americans have never heard of this goes a lot deeper than building codes. Stay with me until the end, because when you understand what is actually happening here, you are never going to look at the house you live in the same way again. Let me take you back to something most people have completely forgotten. In 1905, the USDA published a report documenting traditional earth-built structures across the American Southwest. The researchers noted that adobe homes in Taos Pueblo, New Mexico, had been continuously occupied since approximately the year 1000 AD. 1,000 years. Still standing, still livable. Those walls had outlasted every wooden structure built in America. They had outlasted the nation itself, and the people who built them had no mortgage, no utility bill, no contractor. The Amish connection to this knowledge runs through their settlement in the early 1700s when German and Swiss immigrants brought centuries of earth-building knowledge with them into Pennsylvania. They had seen what happened to wooden homes in European storms. They knew that thick walls of compacted earth did not burn, did not rot, and did not blow away. In Lancaster County, early Amish communities built root cellars, barns, and storage structures using rammed earth and packed clay that are still in use today. Some of those walls are over 2 feet thick, and the families who built them understood something that modern construction has completely abandoned. Mass matters more than insulation. The thickness of the wall is the technology, and no company can sell you dirt. That is where we need to start. Because to understand why this building method is banned in most of the United States, you first have to understand how well it actually works. Modern homes are built with 2x4 or 2x6 framing. The walls are maybe 6 inches thick. They fill that gap with fiberglass, insulation, or spray foam, and they call it energy efficient. The best spray foam insulation money can buy gives you an R value of around R7 per inch. A well-built Earthbag or rammed earth wall, 18 to 24 inches thick, achieves an R value between 26 and 33. That is equal to or better than the most expensive commercial insulation systems available today. And it costs nothing because the material is the ground your home sits on. But the R value comparison actually undersells what is happening in these walls. Modern insulation is a passive barrier. It slows heat transfer. An earth wall does something entirely different. It stores heat, it absorbs it during the day, holds it inside the mass of the wall, and releases it slowly over the next 8 to 12 hours. The thermal lag is the mechanism. When the temperature outside drops at night, the heat that was absorbed during the day is radiating gently from the interior side of the wall, warming the room without a furnace, without electricity, without any fuel at all. In summer, the process reverses. The cool temperatures of the night are absorbed into the wall. They release into the living space throughout the hot hours of the day, keeping the interior 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the outside without air conditioning. Penn State's Agricultural Extension Program documented similar thermal mass behavior in traditional root cellars used by Amish communities in Pennsylvania for over a century. The earth does the work. You just have to let it. Now here is where the tornado resistance comes in. And this is the part that surprised me most when I first spent time in Holmes County, Ohio, talking to Amish builders who had been constructing structures this way their whole lives. The weak point in a conventional wood frame home is not the roof or the windows, it is the geometry of the wall itself. A flat, vertical surface in a high wind acts like a sail. The wind finds the edge, gets underneath the wall, finds the gap between the frame and the sheathing, and the pressure differential does the rest. The whole structure fails not because the materials were weak, but because the shape was wrong. An Earthbag dome, which is the method most directly connected to what survived the storms in Joplin and in the Gulf Coast communities hit by Category 4 and 5 hurricanes in recent decades, solves this problem at the architectural level. Wind moving across a curved surface does not push. It flows. The aerodynamic forces that destroy rectangular buildings pass around and over a dome structure the same way water flows around a river stone. The shape itself is the engineering. Add to that walls that are 12 to 18 inches thick, composed of tightly packed, compacted earth in woven polypropylene bags stacked in a running bond pattern and held together with 2 strands of 4-point barbed wire between every layer, and you have a structure that behaves more like a boulder than a building. The barbed wire is not decorative, it acts as a tensile element inside the compressed earth mass, giving the walls the kind of flexibility that prevents catastrophic cracking under seismic or wind load. The United States Army figured this out. Military field manuals from as far back as the Napoleonic campaigns in the early 1800s documented earth-filled barriers as the most reliable field fortification available. The same principle, the same material, used to protect soldiers in combat for 250 years. 2 people with no construction experience can build a complete Earthbag dome in approximately 30 days. Total material cost, including the bags, the barbed wire, and a cement plaster finish coat for weather protection, runs between $300 to $800, depending on the size. The earth comes from the building site itself. You are literally building with what you dig up to pour the foundation. There is no supply chain, there is no delivery truck, there is no lumber yard, there is just the land and the knowledge of how to use it. Taos Pueblo in New Mexico gives you a sense of what that longevity looks like in practice. Those structures are not preserved ruins, they are occupied homes. People have been living inside those walls continuously since before Columbus reached the Americas. 500 years is a conservative estimate. Some architectural archaeologists believe the oldest sections are closer to 1,000 years old. A modern wood frame home built to current code with the best materials commercially available has an expected lifespan of 50 to 80 years before major structural work is required. An earth home does not expire. So why can you not build one in most of the United States right now? 37 states, as of the most recent review of residential building codes, do not recognize compacted earth, adobe, cob, or Earthbag construction as approved residential materials. This is not because those materials are unsafe. There is a century of structural engineering data confirming their performance. It is because those materials are not on the approved materials list. And to get them on the approved list in a jurisdiction that has decided they do not belong there, you need stamped drawings from a licensed structural engineer, independent materials testing, peer review from the local building authority, and a series of inspections that typically cost more than the structure you are trying to build. I want you to understand what that means practically. You can build a structure that will survive an EF5 tornado, heat itself without fuel for 500 years, and cost less than $1,000 in materials. And in most of the country, you cannot get a permit to live in it. Meanwhile, a wood frame home that will burn in a wildfire, be destroyed in a tornado, and require a full renovation in 40 years sails through permitting in weeks. The construction industry is a $1 trillion economy. The materials that industry sells, lumber, drywall, spray foam, fiberglass bats, vinyl siding, asphalt shingles, are the materials that building codes are built around. That is not a conspiracy theory, it is just economics. There is no lobby for dirt. There is no trade association funding research into Earthbag construction. There are no salespeople pushing rammed earth at your county planning office. And so the knowledge gets quieter and quieter, and the old Amish builders who still know how to do it keep building on their agricultural land in rural counties where the code enforcement never shows up and most Americans never find out. But here is what I need you to know. There are legal paths. Rural counties in New Mexico, Texas, Colorado, and parts of Appalachia have either no building code enforcement or explicit carve-outs for owner-built structures on agricultural land. Some states allow alternative materials under a performance standard rather than a prescriptive standard, which means if you can document that your structure performs at least as well as code-compliant construction, you can get approval. And off-grid agricultural structures, root cellars, animal shelters, and storage buildings are often completely outside residential code jurisdiction in rural areas, which is how many homesteaders start. Build the outbuilding first. Learn the technique. Understand what the walls are actually doing. Then talk to your county planning office about what the path looks for a residential structure. NASA has studied Earthbag construction as a candidate building method for Mars colonization. The reasoning is straightforward. The material is local, the method is low technology, the structural performance is verified, and there is no reliance on a supply chain that has to be launched from Earth. The agency that put humans on the moon looked at this method and said it was worth serious engineering attention. That should tell you something about how this knowledge has been underestimated. Now, I want to tell you the thing I promised at the beginning, the thing I have never seen in a single mainstream homesteading guide, the thing that pushed the thermal performance of these homes beyond what even most natural builders understand. When I was in Holmes County, I sat in the kitchen of an older Amish builder named Samuel. His family had been working with earth construction for 4 generations, and he showed me something he called bottle glass thermal mass. Not a complicated technique, not an expensive one, but the moment he explained it, I understood why it works and why it has been completely ignored by modern building science. Here is what they do. Before plastering the interior surface of the Earthbag wall, they press the bottoms of dark glass bottles, the heavy kind used for old wine or cider, flush into the exterior face of the interior wall layer. Dark green or dark brown glass specifically, the bottle bottoms face the south-facing exterior where they catch sunlight. The glass heats up faster than bare earth because it has a lower specific heat capacity and a higher solar absorptance. That heat transfers directly into the earth mass directly behind it. The walls charge faster. They hold more heat per cubic foot of wall, and the thermal lag extends by another 2 to 3 hours, meaning the interior radiates warmth deeper into the cold of the night. This technique uses materials that cost nothing, requires no tools beyond your hands, adds no structural complexity, and measurably improves the thermal performance of a wall that was already outperforming modern insulation. Samuel told me his grandmother called it sun drinking. The wall drinks the sun and gives it back when you need it. That description is more accurate than anything in a modern building science manual. There is something deeply clarifying about sitting in a room that has not needed a furnace in over 100 years, in a building that two people built with their hands and the earth under their feet, that has never had a utility bill, that would still be standing after a tornado leveled everything around it. That clarity is not nostalgia. It is not romanticism. It is the recognition that someone already solved these problems centuries ago, and we chose to forget. If you are the kind of person who has looked at your energy bills, your mortgage payment, your insurance premiums, and felt something tighten in your chest because you understand that you are dependent on systems that are designed to extract from you rather than protect you, then you already know what this knowledge means. Tell me in the comments, if building codes were not a factor today, would you build one of these? Would you start with an outbuilding or go straight to a full home? I want to know where you are in that conversation, because the answers you leave shape what I research next. And if you want to be here when we go deeper into the systems that made this knowledge disappear and the practical paths that still exist to implement it legally today, subscribe. Not for us, for the knowledge, because this is not close to the end of what they got right that we forgot.